Thanks for continuing to put in the chat where your children attend school and what grade levels they are in and your name. We're going to go ahead and get right into the content so that we stay right on schedule for the evening. So tonight's agenda, we're going to define what phonological and phonemic awareness is, and those are big teacher words for the sounds in words. So we're going to really focus on the sounds that students hear and make as they're reading and hearing words that they speak or read. Then we're going to identify at least 3 activities that can be done at home to continue to promote students being able to hear and read sounds. And then we're going to talk about ways that you can adapt activities to meet the needs of different ages. So typically, sounds and sound development happens in the early grades like K and 1 or pre-kindergarten, but there are also times where students in upper grades may not be able to hear those sounds, and we want to make sure we're providing activities for those students as well. So those are the 3 goals of tonight, and we're going to jump right in to get started. So I'm going to just start with a couple of pieces of research. And I know I don't want to bore you with lots of research, but I do want to share with you our teachers at MSD of Steuben County have been working extremely hard on firming up our practices to align with research. And one of those pieces of research is from Scarborough. And Scarborough created a reading rope. And this reading rope shares all of the components that students need to be able to be successful with in order to read well. And it's kind of broken into 2 areas. And if you've noticed, there are topics listed here that we're going to be covering over the next several months with you. So tonight I've circled the sounds part because that's what we're going to cover tonight. But by the end of the multiple months that we're doing these webinars, we will cover all of these areas. So Scarborough's reading rope is split into 2 different main categories. The first one at the top is language comprehension. And that is just, can students understand the words that they're hearing or that they're reading? And there's lots of different components to that. The area where we're going to focus tonight is word recognition. Word recognition is, can students hear the sounds and can they read the words as they learn those sounds? So are they able to read? All of these components weave together. As they get more fluent, they become skilled readers. And so part of our time together tonight is really about how can we firm up all of these strands, especially sounds tonight, to support our readers moving forward. The other big research piece that we look at is the simple view of reading with our teachers. We really have learned that decoding, which is a student's ability to read, times their understanding of words equals reading comprehension. And if one of these areas is weak with a student, if they're not able to read or if they're not able to understand the words they're reading, then they'll never be able to comprehend. So there's building blocks, there's 5 building blocks that really help our readers. The first one is that they have really great phonemic awareness, and that's going to be the sounds that we're talking about tonight. We'll move into phonics in the next month, and then fluency in the month after that. Those 3 things are really going to support this bottom portion of the reading rope. Then we're going to talk about vocabulary and comprehension. And those areas are just as important because students need to be able to, in vocabulary, to understand the words that they're reading and comprehend those words that they're reading to connect that understanding within their brain. So these 5 building blocks are what create successful readers when all of them are strong. And this just kind of breaks down each of those areas further for us to think about. Again, we're focusing on sounds tonight, and over the course of the next couple months, we'll focus on more things. So we're going to jump into the sounds. Phonological awareness, just again, is a fancy way of saying the sounds within words. And phonological awareness is really talking about large chunks of words, so hearing whole words or parts of words. So phonological awareness is a student's ability to hear and count the number of words in a sentence. So one thing that we do to really test if students can do this and practice with them is giving them a sentence like, the cat ran up the stairs. And we want students to be able to tell us how many words were in that sentence. So they would count, the cat ran up the stairs. And we would want them to be able to tell us that there are 6 words in that sentence. That helps them be able to know where a word starts and stops. And it allows them to understand the parts of a complete sentence. We also want students to notice and share rhyming words. So we might give students cat and bat. Those have the same ending sound, so they rhyme. We would want students to be able to tell us, yes, cat and bat rhyme, but we would also want them to be able to tell us what are some more words that rhyme with cat and bat. So cat, bat, sat, all of those words rhyme. Asking students to share more and more of those words helps them practice hearing that ending sound in words, which is going to help them read and help them spell. Also, we want students to be able to recognize syllables in words. So that's how many vowel sounds they hear in a word. And a lot of times, you probably remember from your elementary days, clapping out words to recognize how many syllables are in that word. So if we have the word information, we'd have students clap that out, information, and there can only be one vowel sound in each syllable. So in information, we would have 4 syllables. So asking students to clap those out or stomp those out is really helpful in helping them hear those word parts so that they can spell and break words apart to read them. And then the last thing with phonological awareness is making sure that students are able to determine a word's onset and rhyme. And this is a little bit tricky. So within the word cat, there's an onset, and that's always the first beginning sound in a word. So that would be the sound. That's the onset. And then the rhyme would be the rest of the word, at, onset, rhyme, at. Helping them break those words apart into those sounds is really helpful. The second part of sound awareness is hearing and zooming in on individual sounds. So we want students not only to think about whole words and parts of words, which they did with that last section we were just talking about, but also can they hear the individual sounds in words. So to practice this, we ask students to blend sounds together to make words. So I might, as the teacher, ask students to tell me the word I'm saying, and I might say, at. When I say those 3 sounds, we're hoping students can put those isolated sounds together to form the word cat. So that's something we practice with students and that you could practice at home with students also. We also want them to do the opposite of that. We want them to think about the word and be able to break it into its sound. So I might tell a student spot and then have them break that into the s, p, a, t, all of those individual sounds. So that is going to be one way to practice hearing those individual sounds. And I just saw a question in the chat asking if this is appropriate for all grade levels. We really want students to be able to master these 2 things by the end of 2nd grade or sooner. But a lot of times students that struggle, and we'll get to a quote about this soon, is a lot of students that struggle with reading, this is the issue that they're working through. They can't hear the sounds, so it's difficult for them to be able to decode words. So for students that are struggling to read, even in upper grades, it might be helpful to support them with this. If we support them with it, we don't want to just do it by sound. We want to do it with letters so that they can see the letters that they're manipulating. Another thing we want students to be able to do is be able to notice individual sounds in words. So I might ask a student, what's the middle sound in the word teach? Well, the beginning sound is t, the ending sound is ch. We want students to be able to hear that the middle sound in teach is the E sound. Also, we want to have students be able to add and delete sounds to words to make new words. So if we give students the word shake, and ask them to add ing at the end of the word, then they would have the word shaking. So adding or taking away sounds, and then trading out sounds, like in the word rat. Change the sound to a b sound and ask students to say the word bat, because you've changed that out for a b. So those are the two big sound pieces that are going to be really important for students as they learn to move then to spelling or reading. So here's just some important quotes. The first quote is that research shows that phonemic awareness is the best predictor of reading success in young children. So if students have phonemic awareness skills at the end of kindergarten, they're likely to be successful readers moving forward. So this is a really important thing for us to focus on in the early years. And also, like I said earlier, the majority of poor readers, have difficulty with phonemic awareness because they're not able to notice that a letter represents a sound. And so they have a hard time reading those words. And then also they have a hard time spelling because they're not able to think of the letter that would make that sound. So here's what we do at school. I wanted to give you a little peek into what our classrooms look like. This is not one of our classrooms, but this is absolutely something that our teachers in K1 and 2 do every day to support students. And this is just a quick snapshot of how we practice those sounds in the classroom.
Okay, friends, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down if the words rhyme. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Be sure to repeat the words after me. Good wood.
Good wood.
Pool tool.
Pool tool.
Book took.
Book took.
Yeah, get them up. Shook shake.
Shook shake.
Boom bake.
Boom bake.
What are we doing? Boom ache?
Nope.
Ooze lose.
Ooze lose.
Doom room.
Doom room.
I agree. Two more. Root right.
Root right.
Oot ice.
Nope.
Last one. Mood food.
Mood food.
Awesome. Give yourself a high five. I'm going to give you the word. Repeat the word. Give me the beginning sound. Beginning sound. Bloom.
Bloom.
Bull. Cook.
Cook.
Doom.
Doom. Doom.
Food.
Food.
Good.
Good. Good.
Hoop.
Hoop.
Swoon.
Swoon. Swoon.
Moon.
Moon.
Spoon.
Spoon.
Ooze.
Ooze. Ooze.
Very good. I'll break it up. You put it together. Z. Ooh.
Zoo.
Book.
Book.
Ooh. D.
Mood.
Sh. Ooh.
Shampoo.
Ook.
Brook.
Oom.
Groove.
Oop.
Hoop.
Loose.
Loose.
Ache.
Toothache.
So that's just one small clip of what you would see in our classrooms. This is something we call Haggerty, if I didn't mention that before. And students would work through, this video is about 7 minutes. It's about 5 to 10 minutes each day where they're practicing those phonemic awareness skills. I do want to make a quick note to you all because we had a few people join late. If you would in the chat, which is in the bottom right corner, put your name, where your child or children are attending school at MSD of Steuben or in another district if you're here from another district. And then also if you would put in what grade level they are in right now. That is going to allow us to enter you into tonight's drawing for a gift card. So go ahead and make sure that you do that before the end of our presentation. I'm going to turn it over to Miss Knight next, and you got to see just some ways how we do it in the classroom to practice, but she has more ways to continue this practice at home, because we know that when we are able to support students at home and at school, they are getting the very best. So we're really excited to partner with you in finding some ways to continue that reading success at home. So Miss Knight, go ahead and take it away.
Okay, then. So most of these are very simple ways that you can support your children at home. Some of these, I think, when I think back to my childhood, are things that we did together with my family. One of the simplest ones is to just sing nursery rhymes. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, Old MacDonald had a farm, Old Mother Hubbard went to the cupboard. Any of those, they're so rich in rhyme and in rhythm. Those are the things that your children will start to hear in those, and those start to lay that foundation for taking words apart. Another one is to read rhyming books. Kids love Dr. Seuss. They love Chicka Chicka Boom Boom. Any of those types of books that you may have at home, or if you can go to the library and get some different books. There are just an amazing array of rhyming books out there, and kids love them. And I know some of you have posted that you have older children in the chat, and even they have some amazing books that are even informational for older children that rhyme these days. So I encourage you to really look around. There are a lot of cool resources out there. Along the same lines, playing rhyming games like I Spy with rhyming objects around the house. So I know my niece and nephew are totally into I Spy with my little eye, and they look for things around the house. And then if your children are older, have them create little raps about family members, or activities that they're interested in, or have them come up with nonsense words that rhyme, or that rhyme with real words, or just anything to get them really thinking about those word families that come at the end, those rhymes, R-I-M-E, that Mr. Winslow was talking about. Those are great practice for any student who's struggling with phonemic awareness. Thank you. All right. Another activity that you can do at home is Sound Detective. And this is when you can ask them to really isolate those sounds, the ones that come at the beginning, the middle, and the end, with things that you have. So I might pick this up and I might say, ooh, Tommy, can you tell me what the ending sound is in cup? And hopefully, after you've done this for a while, your child will say, oh, cup is the last sound. And then you could say, okay, what's the beginning sound? Oh. Okay, and what's the middle sound? Oh, that's right. So what are the sounds in cup? And that's something that you may see your students coming home doing, is you may see some tapping like this. And I know that's probably more for the phonics next month, but if you do see that with your students, know that's because when we're working on listening for sounds, we are often tapping out those sounds. So that's how we're teaching them to listen for sounds to figure out what they're hearing. We use that somewhat for their spelling so that they can tell what sounds they need to write down. Then for older children, you could have them do a scavenger hunt to find several items that have the same beginning sounds or middle sounds or ending sounds that you tell them. And, it could just be simple like, you know what? I want you to go around the living room and find everything you can find that starts with the B sound. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be difficult. It can be really simple, but these are things that just get your kids thinking about what they hear in words. Okay, this one is sound switcheroo. And this is an activity that's very similar to what to an activity we do in the Hegarty activity that you saw a little bit of in the video. And this is when we take away sounds or add sounds to words, and the kids have to think about what we're doing. We're switching those sounds around. So what happens if we take away the b in bat? Then your child would say, oh, that's at. Okay, what do we get if we add s to the beginning of top? Stop. And with this activity, what's important is that you're not saying what happens if we take the B away in bat, but you want to make sure you're saying the sound with your students. So it's what happens if we take away the B in bat. And that's something that for me as a teacher was kind of new a few years ago. Like I hadn't really thought about that, but they really focus so much on sounds that it helps them. They make that transfer very easily then to the letters. And then finally, the last one on here says, what do we get if we change the in hatch to So then they're literally switching the H and the M to make match. Then for your older kids, make questions like this, but change, add, or delete the middle sounds as a challenge. So if I had the word, let's say with second graders, I might have clip. And if I said, all right, the word is clip, change I to a. And so the students would think and they would say clap. So they're changing those sounds out. If you have even older kids than that, you might try it with a double syllable word. So let me think real quick. And they can be nonsense words. Like that's okay too. So if I changed, well, this doesn't work, but if I had Mr. and I told them to change that to s, they could change sister. But by adding that extra syllable, you're making it a little more complicated for your older students. And finally, the last one I have for you is called syllable stomp. And this is where you're asking the children to think about those syllables in the words, that rhythm that we get with rhyming words and with nursery rhymes. But they're going to stomp them out. And you can do it with things they see at home, at the park, at the store, at the zoo, etc. So stomp out the syllables that you hear in giraffe. So normally we would go giraffe. But for this activity, your kids are going to get their whole body involved and they're going to be stomping with their feet. Giraffe. Then stomp out the syllables you hear in calendar. Calendar. And that's just a great way to get their whole body involved. Another one that kids really like is to pound them out. So they go giraffe, calendar. So they have some different ways of incorporating their body into it, which also helps move different things in their mind so that they are, I don't know, just activating different parts of their body to hold that information in there. And then for older kids, you can have them clap it out, but then use bigger words. Use information. Information. That's a 4-syllable word. So you're looking, you know, as your children are getting older, just increase that level of difficulty along the way by choosing words that are a little bit longer or changing not so much the beginning and the end, but start focusing on those middle sounds. As a second grade teacher, I give iRead, and that is one of the things that the kids really have to listen for when they get to iRead, is that which word sound has the same vowel sound as, and they have to listen for those middle sounds. So, okay, Mr. Winslow, I think I've taken up your time.
Thank you, Ms. Knight. Those are really helpful ways that you can support those sound skills that we want to develop in students. One thing I want to share with you is that we want to move students away from just sounds as soon as they start to know their letters. So as soon as students really know their letters, we want to still work on sounds, but do it with the letters. So let's say we're asking students in the idea of switching letters out and switcheroo, we have the word cat, we might show them the word cat with the letters and change that C out for an M so that they can use their sound recognition and awareness with the print. And that gets into phonics and decoding, which we'll talk more about next week. But as soon as students know those letters, we want to start getting them playing with letters. So the next thing I want to share with you is another way to support at home. And this is for Carlin Park, Hendry Park, and Ryan Park students. It is called Core 5. And this is something that students have available to them in their ClassLink dashboard on their Chromebook. So if students, let me share my screen a little differently here. If students go to their ClassLink dashboard, there is going to be a button for them to click on. This is what their dashboard looks like. They all know how to get there. So if you have them open up their Chromebook and tell them to go to ClassLink, they'll be able to open this. Mine does not have the button that looks like this, but your students will have this Core 5 button. And what this learning program does is at the beginning of the year, it gives all of your students a really quick screener to see where they are in their journey towards becoming a proficient reader. And from there, it provides them with activities that support them. So in the school day, teachers are using this with your students when they have an independent work time, but it's available after school hours. So if you want your students to have additional time on this program, they can go to it. And this is what it looks like when they log in. It's fun, there's games for them to play, but it's all supporting what we're talking about tonight and throughout the rest of the school year. So when students log in, they'll have different activities to choose from. You can see here nursery rhymes. We were just talking about that. Letter matching. There will be sounds there where they're matching to those letters. Rhyming. If you click into that, it's going to allow them to practice.
Rhyming words have the same sounds at the end. Listen carefully. One of these words rhymes with van.
So the
Dog.
directions are telling us that one of these words or pictures
Rhymes with
van,
van.
and they get to practice that rhyming and
Find
click.
the word that rhymes
So it
with
gives
the
them an
word
example
here.
first.
Find the word that rhymes with pin, fin, hat.
And then they can select the one that's correct. So pin and fin, those rhyme because they have the same ending sounds. They'd click it and get it correct and move on.
Find the word that
So
rhymes
that's
with
one other way for you to support students at home with you is providing them time to work through some of those Core 5 activities. As we start to wrap up here with a few slides, I just want to share strong PA, that's short for phonemic awareness or sounds, leads to students being able to decode, which is one of our main goals. We want students to be able to read. We don't want students forever just thinking about sounds and words. The goal is to get them to be able to decode on their own and understand the words that they're reading. So decoding is the ability to read and recognize words and letters, but strong phonemic awareness has to happen before this can. It also supports spelling, hearing the sounds, support students in choosing letters that represent those sounds, and then fluency is that, are they able to quickly recognize letters and sounds and words eventually to be able to read at a quick pace with expression. So again, this is a huge building block to everything that moves forward within reading. I do want to share before we wrap up just some additional resources that are available to you. One of those is called the Indiana Learning Lab. The Department of Education releases information through the Indiana Learning Lab, and they have a parent hub that's available to you. Miss Knight just put a link to that in the chat, but I'm going to quickly show you what it looks like when you get in. So if you go into the Learning Lab, You'll be able to log in for a free account. It looks like this. You can click log in. You can log in with a Google account, or you can just create your own over here to the right. I'm going to go ahead and log in with Google here real quick. And once you're logged in, you're going to see tons of different resources to support you and your students. So the one thing I want to point your attention to is this hubs section. If you click that, there's a parent and family support hub. And that's where you're going to find lots of ways to support your students at home, in addition to what we've shared with you already. So I'm sure you're overwhelmed with lots of resources. But this goes from birth to grade 12. So you can think about the students that you have at home and go into one of these categories based on what grade they're in. So if we go to grades 3 to 5, and then you have content areas or subjects that you can click on to support students. So if you really want to support your student in math, you can click math, and there's going to be tons of different articles or videos or ways to support your student available to you here. The next thing I want to share with you as an additional resource is the Florida Center for Reading Research. This is a website that has games and activities that you can do with your students in multiple different grade levels. They're super easy to print, or you can use them digitally. So you could go to this website on your child's Chromebook, and you could work through an activity on their Chromebook if you don't have another device, or you could use a phone even. If you go to this website, you're going to notice that on the left side, it's by ages. So let's say you have a kindergarten to first grade student, you could click on that, and it will open up all of the kindergarten activities. There's tons and tons of activities. So you might want to search by category. Let's say tonight we've been talking about phonological awareness. I want to really work on phonological awareness with my kindergartner. I'm going to click there. It'll zoom you right down to all of the activities that are for phonological awareness. So you can see the things we talked about tonight: rhyming, alliteration, which is that beginning sound, sentence segmentation. Can they tell you how many words are in a sentence? Syllables, onset rhyme, phoneme matching, which means can they match the sound to the letter, isolating and segmenting. All of these are things we were talking about earlier tonight, but there's specific activities that you can use to support them. So if you click on one of them, it'll come up as a PDF. It is better if you print them, but you can totally do it digitally. The instructions are here for you on the first page, and then the cards that you need are below. So if you click this little arrow, you can see that the cards aren't facing the right way. If you click the arrow here, you can move it around until the cards do face the right way. And so for this activity, they're matching pictures that rhyme. So you'll want students to be able to, like, these two happen to be right next to each other, fox and box. They rhyme, so we want students to point to those and say, these two rhyme because they have that same ending sound. If you have older students, you can go into 2nd and 3rd grade. There's some phonemic awareness. Once you get to 4th and 5th, you're not going to see a lot of phonemic awareness activities because we're hoping that students in those upper grades have mastered these sound games and recognizing sound, but sometimes they just aren't able to master that yet, and we might need to go to a younger grade level to support them. But again, in 4th and 5th, we really want them matching those sounds to actual letters. So that's why you see the phonics here for those upper grades. We're going to end and wrap things up, but I do want to leave some time for questions. So if you have any questions, we'll just wait for a minute or two. You can unmute yourself, or you can type it in the chat, and we're happy to answer anything that comes our way. Seeing great comments in the chat about loving some of the resources that we shared tonight, so I'm glad they're helpful to you. The Learning Lab is really awesome, Ashley, so hopefully you find some great things in there. We use it a lot as teachers throughout our lessons. Right, I'll just wait here for a minute to see if we have any questions come through, and then we'll wrap up. Awesome. You're welcome. We're glad you're here tonight. So we're really thankful for that. All right. Please interrupt me if any questions come. If we see some in the chat, we'll answer those as well. I do want to share with you just a quick thank you for being here tonight. We are going to draw in just a moment for those that are in attendance to receive a gift card. We have 2 of those to give out tonight. And I really just want to emphasize that we really want to partner between home and school with you. We're really interested in having a successful time with your student and your student being able to be extremely successful. So I appreciate you being here. That shows your commitment to partnering with us. And I also just want to share that next time we will be meeting, it will be about word recognition, which is letters and words, and that's going to be more about the phonics part and the decoding and helping students be able to look at letters on pages and words and know how to decode those words. That will be at the same time, but on November 13th. Many of you have already signed up. I'll send out a calendar invite like I did, and then I will also share that link with you to join. We'd also just really love for you to talk in the community about this with your parent friends, because we'd love for more parents to join us in the future. We really, really want students to be successful readers, and this is one way that you can help support that.